up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot of volleyball to discuss, such as the first week of NCAA women's volleyball season in the books. The first serve challenge, courtesy of the ABCA, was absolutely phenomenal. And this is the last day, as going on in the fifth set is Penn State and Kansas. Speaking of what happened in the first serve challenge, Nebraska looks like the number one team that they were destined to be. And how about Florida pulling off the upset against number 3 Pitt? What is going on in Yinzerland with the Lady Panthers? But a big win for Ryan Tice and his team, as we also preview week number 1 of the NCAA women's volleyball season. Also, the ABC League championships are this weekend, as one pair on the men's and women's side will be crowned champions. Also, we have the FIVB World Championship happening on the women's side, as the U.S. is off to a good 2-0 start, but can they keep it up? Hey, volleyball, set next. Some of us are some volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of Set Point here on iSports Radio. Your feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday, wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 313 of Set Point. And without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, Set Point will not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on YouTube, Twitch, and on X. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, TikTok, and Instagram. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, and with your help, we could definitely make it happen. So please do subscribe to us on YouTube, like and comment on this video, as well as our other videos as well. It helps the whole algorithm thing and whatnot. So there you have it. For the last 11 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports states around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all of that sports. A huge shout out to our two sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Vital Apparel. And also, before we get on into that, just got to say, by the time the drops of the sponsors are done, we'll probably get a final between Penn State and Kansas. So without any further delay, let's get on into what our sponsors are all about. I'll see you all on the other side.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing sponsors: Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Or not Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Vital Apparel are only two sponsors for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And the way you can follow said IE Sports Radio is down below. And the way you can follow Setpoint on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at @set_point_IE. And you can also follow me personally on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez 1. So without any further delay, let's get on into the volleyball action. So we just had a final. Number 2 Penn State outlasted number 14 Kansas in 5 sets in the final day of the AVCA First Serve Showcase. So my initial thoughts on it, well, for starters, it's a win. I had a feeling that Kansas was kind of going to need to get their lick back and prove themselves, especially after how they almost lost to Vanderbilt in 5 on Saturday. But Kansas is a pretty solid team. They're not bad by any means. I thought maybe that first match against Vanderbilt kind of proves that Vanderbilt is a little bit more talented than most people give them credit for, especially since they haven't had a program in over 45 years and whatnot. So I will just say, the initial. Oh, and I also forgot you can follow Setpoint on Instagram as well at @set_point_IESR. So back to Penn State's win over Kansas. Yeah, it's a great win, and honestly, I'll have to pull up the box score for that a little bit later. So we'll obviously circle the wagons back to that matchup in a little bit. But my initial thoughts are, wasn't the cleanest game. Penn State didn't really pass all that great. I thought that Penn State could have played a little bit more cleaner, but again, it's only week 0, and there's still room for improvement for them. So I think that was a good win on their behalf. I think that they'll build off this. And for Kansas, it's not bad by any means. It just shows that Penn State still has it in them. And the fact that Kansas was nowhere near out of that 5th set speaks to high volumes of how good Kansas actually is. It's just a little bit of a new regime with Coach Matt Ulmer at the helm. So overall, I think
Kansas has a little bit more to, I think Kansas has a little bit more to prove. They've got a big week this week. And they've also got they've got a pretty big schedule ahead of themselves. So I think Kansas, again, not a bad loss by any means. There's no shame in losing to last year's reigning champs, but still a little bit more to prove. And then Penn State, obviously it's a whole new team. No Jess Merzick, and Kennedy Martin, I think, still looks like a great fit for this Penn State team. So I think this Penn State team is going to be doing great guns, and I'll get to the rest of how everyone else did a little bit later. But for now, Penn State is just they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, and I think that this Penn State team is still as good as advertised. So now let's circle the wagons back to day one of the First Serve Showcase. So this is the first time we've had this AVCA First Serve Showcase. It took place at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Lincoln, Nebraska. And the first matchup we had was Nebraska versus Pitt. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to see the attendance number, but I can tell it was over 10,000. Pinnacle Bank Arena can seat quite a bit, and from what I was told, it was deafening. So a great job to all the Nebraska and Pitt fans. But let's recap this number 3 Pitt versus number 1 Nebraska match. So first set, it looked like Pitt was going to get the early jump. They were up 18-16, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe this Pitt team won't be as bad off as I thought they would be, because let's be honest with ourselves. The big question going into this matchup was who's going to fill the void with Torrey Stafford having transferred to Texas. But Nebraska, this was kind of obvious. Nebraska was down, I think it was like 20-18, and then they just turned it around very nicely. I think they ended the set on a 7-2 run to take that first set, 25-22. Again, this is Nebraska we're talking about. Every time they're down and their backs are against the wall and either them or their opponent has reached the red zone, aka 20 points, they always kick it in an overdrive. I don't know how they do it, but it's just a matter of their talent just locking in and whatnot. Second set was a whole different set as Nebraska pounded the tar out of Pitt as they took that second set 25-11. Third set was a little bit of a different story as Pitt never trailed, and they wound up winning that third set 25-20. Fourth set was just as close as the first set. I mean, Pitt was not wavering away. It looked like Nebraska had that fourth set for the most part, but Pitt was not giving up. I mean, Olivia Babcock was doing everything she could to try to will this team to victory, but it was just not enough. Nebraska was able to hold on and win that fourth set 25-24. No fifth set here as Nebraska was led by Harper Murray, who had 15 kills. She also had 6 digs as well. Andy Jackson also had 10 kills. She was named the MVP of that match, courtesy of the AVCA. So good on her. The 9 kills went to Rebecca Alec, which was solid as well. I think she was probably one of my top middle blocker for this weekend. Taylor Landfair also had 8 kills as well. And then Bergen Riley had herself a nice night. 10 digs to go along with 40 assists. Overall, it was a good, clean match for Nebraska. They just played solid, sound Nebraska volleyball. Yes, they didn't have the highest and flashiest hitting percentage, but their blocks are what really impressed me. They had 15.5 blocks, which was double of what Pitt had in terms of blocks. And although the digs weren't high, again, it's only the first match, and it's the first match following the Lexi Rodriguez era. So you got to remember that their new libero is Lainey Choboy, who had 16 digs. Very good, in my opinion. Not bad for a first look at the libero. And then Pitt was led by Olivia Babcock. Like I mentioned, she had 21 kills. She was just willing this team to victory, try to will her team to victory, but it was to no avail. She actually had half of the kills that Pitt had as a team. So I'm just going to say this. Pitt's going to need someone else to step up. And their next kill leader was Dagmar Moritz, who had 8 kills. Then Brie Kelly had 5 kills. She didn't have any hitting errors, but 5 kills, and she's one of the better players on this team. I think we've got a problem here when it comes to Pitt. They need a new number 1. So They need a good outside, in my opinion. But I think they've kind of found that with Dagmar Moritz. But we shall see. Pitt hit an abysmal 111, so tough tamale right there, but that's just how it is. So next matchup we had was staying in Pinnacle Bank Arena on Friday. We had number 16 Stanford taking on number 6 Pitt. Or I'm sorry, number 16 Florida taking on number 6 Stanford. And this one was, I didn't really get a chance to see a whole lot of this one just because I was at the USA men's volleyball scrimmage, but Stanford was able to take this one. They dropped the first set 25-22, but then they were able to rebound and win the next 3 sets, which is pretty solid in my opinion. Good win right there for Stanford. Elia Rubin was named the MVP of this match. She had 14 kills and she also had 17 digs. Darn good win. Darn good stats for her. And then Jordan Harvey had 11 kills. Lizzie Andrew had 9 kills, as well as Logan Parks, who also had 23 assists. She's now the new she and Taylor Yu are kind of the 2 setters for this team following the graduation of Cammie Minor. Taylor Yu had 28 assists and Spencer Etzler had 15 digs as she's now replacing Elena Ogilvy. So for Florida, they were led by Jordan Bird, who had 17 kills, Jayla August, and Malika Viadicic both had 10 kills. Alexis Stuckey had 39 assists and 12 digs. Then you had 12 digs from Lily Hayes. So, my takeaway from this is kind of what I expected from Stanford. I didn't think they would struggle with this too much. I think maybe because they went a little bit of ways out to the other side of the country, they kind of got a little bit of a rocky start night. Maybe they're just not used to kind of having that full capacity crowd, because according to the box score, there was 15,576 in attendance. Now, maybe that was from the previous match, but that's still quite a bit because everyone here wants to see volleyball. I mean, no one wants to go just to see one volleyball match. If you're a true volleyball fan, you're there for both matches. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I thought this was a good win by Stanford by all means necessary. I didn't think that it was going to be a cakewalk. So I think it's a good win. But for Florida, I initially thought that they maybe could have done a little bit more. But again, new team and no Kennedy Martin. So they kind of need that new leader and whatnot. Then we jump on over to, before we jump on over to Saturday's matches, we have Brian Francione popping in the chat room. He says, good evening, Teran. Thank you for popping in. Brian, my good friend, I appreciate you. All right, so now to Saturday's matches. We had Kansas, number 14 Kansas taking on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt had its first ever match in over 45 years. They are back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's great to have Vanderbilt back in terms of volleyball. Unfortunately for them, their debut was kind of spoiled by Kansas, as Kansas wound up winning in 5, 19-25, 25-18, 24-26, 25-20, and 15-4. Long story short, for Vanderbilt, I'm just going to get my assessment of them out of the way. I thought they were pretty darn good. I didn't get a chance to see too much of this match just because I was at the UC Irvine San Diego State women's volleyball scrimmage. Yeah, I know y'all are going to probably say I have my priorities screwed up, but I like seeing live action volleyball, but I digress. And no, I'm not going to pay unless I have like a sponsor or I have the funds to like go down to places like that. I'm not going to be able to afford anything outside of my area, but I digress. Anyway, so for Vanderbilt, they were led by Jacqueline Moore, who had Reese Anna Machon had 18 kills, while Jacqueline Moore had 17 kills. Cameron Chaney had 11 kills for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt only hit 108. They did outdig Kansas by 3, 59-56, but they were also outblocked 15.5 to 10.5. And Kansas only missed 2 serves while totaling 6 service aces, as Reese Patchek had 15 kills and Grace Nelson had 13 kills to go along with 4 aces and 6 digs. She was solid. I got to see her. She was pretty darn good. Then Ryan White had 14 digs. Kristen Klein had 11 digs and 39 assists. And then Giovanna Zelenovic had 8 kills for Kansas as well. So great start to the season for Vanderbilt as they managed to push number 14 Kansas to the brink. But I think this Vanderbilt team might be fine. I think they are going to be proving themselves quite a bit in the SEC. I don't be surprised if Vanderbilt pulls off a few upsets here and there as well. So I think for Vanderbilt, this is just one of those first match growing pains, but I think they should be fine going forward. And then for Kansas, this was kind of expected. I really thought they showed their true potential in that fifth set, but honestly, I think they still got a lot to learn, and I'll be talking about a little bit more about their match later against Penn State. Speaking of the Nittany Lions, number 2 Penn State played Creighton at Pinnacle Bank Arena on Saturday, and Penn State actually swept Creighton 25-18, 25-22, and 27-25. First 2 sets pretty much were all Pitt. They didn't have too many troubles. I mean, the first set had 9 ties, but Penn State seemed to be in control of it for the most part. And then Creighton, and then for the second set, Creighton was hanging around against Penn State, but Penn State was able to pretty much not relinquish the lead. And there were only 2 ties. And then the third set, it needed overtime. And I'll just say Penn State, this is kind of where we saw a little bit of the Creighton we kind of expected, except without a lot of their players like Norris Sis and whatnot. But Penn State was able to hold on to take that third set. Penn State was led by Kennedy Martin, who had 14 kills and 9 digs. She was named the MVP of that match, courtesy of the AVCA. Then Jordan Hopp had 10 kills, and then Caroline Gervicius had 8 kills. Emmy Selman, 7 kills. Maggie Mendelson, 6 kills. Izzy Stark had 38 assists to go along with 9 digs. So overall, it was a solid win for Penn State. Great way to kick off their title defense. For Creighton, they were led by Ava Martin, who had 19 kills. She had almost half of the kills of Creighton as a whole. Jaya Johnson had 9 kills, but that was pretty much it in terms of scoring output. Their next kill leader following Johnson was Elios Brandaway, who had 5 kills. Creighton as a team, they hit only 167 to Penn State's 294. Long story short, even though I didn't get to see all of this match, I'm just going to say I think Penn State isn't going to go anywhere. I know they kind of had a little bit of a close call just now, but I think Penn State is still going to be up there. I still want to see more from this Penn State team. For Creighton, this kind of shows that they are missing a lot of Kendra Waite, as well as Nora Sis and all those players from last year's team that made it all the way to the Elite Eight. So, and also you got to remember Brian Rosen is the new head coach. So I think it's kind of a new regime and trying to adapt well to new everything. And they don't have their players from last year and they're all American. So Creighton's going to struggle a little bit, but let's not get it twisted here. I think Creighton is still going to win the Big East Conference. I mean, the only stiff competition I can imagine they would have is Marquette, obviously, and then maybe, just maybe St. John's, but we shall see. Jumping over to Sunday, we had the first upset of the season. Number 16, Florida, took down number 3, Pitt in 5 sets. First 3 sets, Pitt wound up winning 2 out of the 3. Pitt won the first one 25-19. Then Florida won the second one 25-15. And then Pitt won the third one 25-15. And then Pitt wound up having a match point at 24-23. But Florida, being the resilient team that they are, wound up running off 3 straight points to take that 4th set and keep the match going. Then the 5th set, Florida jumped out to an early lead. Pitt eventually tied it up at 12-12, and then they took the lead at 13-12. But just like the 4th set, Florida wound up running off the last 3 points to eventually pull off the upset. Their first win of the Ryan Tice era, as Jordan Bird led the way with 23 kills. Jayla August had 9 kills. Milika Vidicic also had 8 kills. And then they also got 8 kills from Kira Hudson and Alec Roth. Alexis Stuckey did her thing, 11 digs and 44 assists. Hudson had 12 digs, and then Lily Hayes had 21 digs. Florida as a team hit only 204, but they held Pitt to 186, as Florida also chipped in 13 blocks, even though they were 1 behind Pitt. but it's all good in the hood. And Florida also barely outdug a whopping. They outdug Pitt by a whopping 3 digs, as Pitt was led by Olivia Babcock, who had 25 kills. She really tried to will this team to victory. She also had 13 digs. Dagmar Moritz had 10 digs to go along with 11 kills. So Pitt last year, they didn't lose too many matches. I think they only lost 2. The one against Kansas, or not Kansas, SMU, the one against SMU, and then the other in the Final Four when they lost to Louisville. So Pitt has already lost as many matches as they did last year. And I just got to say, do we start to hit the panic button soon? How soon do we start hitting the panic button for this Pitt team? I'm going to say not too much, but honestly, I don't know if this Pitt team is it. I think they can maybe win the ACC, barring they don't run into trouble against Louisville or Stanford. But I will also just say, I don't know if this Pitt team is going to be really it. I think they're going to have some growing pains. They know they cannot have Olivia Babcock running, pretty much carrying this team to a T. And then I guess I should also mention, that Bree Kelly only had 5 kills against Nebraska. She only had 5 kills against Pitt, or she had 5 kills against Florida, her former team. So yeah, Florida, or not Florida. She's no longer on Florida. Pitt, you might want to give Bree Kelly the ball more. I'm just saying. And then we had this little matchup. Number 1, Nebraska hosting number 6, Stanford. All right, long story short, Nebraska really beat the you-know-what out of Stanford. They swept Stanford. Stanford didn't even cross 20 points. It was just wild. It was a convincing win. And as I replied to when it came to the Nebraska volleyball account, I said, I don't think I've seen a much more complete game than that. I think that win right there from Nebraska proves they are the real deal, because they have so much depth and so much talent. And holding Stanford to under 20 points in every set and just pretty much just looking like the dominant team against the number 6 team, who is pretty darn good. I get it. Stanford's young. Let's try not to get things twisted. Stanford is still a great team. They are young, but honestly, I kind of felt that they were a little bit intimidated in a big crowd against Nebraska, against a very experienced and talented team that was led by, the crazy thing is about Nebraska, they were not led by Harper Murray. Oh no. They're led by Ali Czech, who had 12 kills. Rebecca Alec had 11 kills, and she also had 5 blocks. She was named the match MVP for that matchup. And then Harper Murray had 10 kills. So 3 players in double-digit kills in a 3-set win. That's clean volleyball right there. Nebraska hit 385 while holding Stanford to under 100. This was a very, 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 very impressive win. Nebraska outblocked Stanford 9-2, and Nebraska had a whopping 56 digs compared to Stanford's 35. Man, that's just darn good volleyball right there. And I can see why Nebraska is now the number 1 team in the nation. I can see why they're number 1 to start things off and not Penn State. Meanwhile, Stanford, they were led by Elia Rubin, who had 8 kills. Epar Kurt had 7 kills. My takeaway for Stanford is this was a big punch in the mouth. There's no better way to say it. They got punched in the mouth big time. Now it's all about how they respond. I think they can definitely do great things this year. I'm going to see them this Saturday when they play Oregon State at Long Beach State. I wish I could see them play Long Beach State, but honestly, I don't want to say this to sound disrespectful to Long Beach State. I don't know if Long Beach State will have their way against Stanford. Maybe they might, because Stanford might be a little tired and they're going to have to go to another semi-hostile environment. But I'm just going to say this. If you're a Long Beach State fan, you might want, and you have nothing to do on Friday, you might want to fill the pyramid up, just because that young Stanford team maybe could struggle at the pyramid. But we shall see. It's kind of one of those old rivalry renewed matches, just because Stanford and Long Beach State used to face one another back when Long Beach State was really good in like the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, but now times have changed. And I forgot to switch up the banner. So there's the I wouldn't say the box score, but there's like the score right there. And then I guess I'll eventually change that to Penn State winning 3-2. So looking at the quick stats right here when it came to Penn State and Kansas, leading Penn State in the win was Kennedy Martin, who had 18 kills, while Emmy Selman had 16 kills. Caroline Jervicius had 14 kills, and Maggie Mendelson had 13 kills. Good stats right there in terms of kill numbers, like 4 players in double-digit kills. And then Jordan Hopp was not too far behind. She had 8 kills. So pretty darn good win for Penn State. They had to grind it out against Kansas, who was led by Ryan Swanson, who had 18 kills. Well, actually, Selena Lebon had 20 kills to go along with 11 digs. And then Kansas also had 13 kills from Giovanna Zelenovic. So overall for Kansas, again, it's still early in the season, so let's kind of slow our roll on what we can expect from this Kansas team. They look impressive, but they kind of look a little but Kansas, I feel Kansas kind of caught Penn State on a bad day. So there you have it right there. And that's pretty much it for all the matches that are being played. Currently right now, Texas A&M is playing Minnesota. I don't know if they're playing right now just because the match between – it does not look like they're playing right now. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to Texas A&M versus Minnesota. I imagine they are not going to be playing for a little bit just because that Penn State-Kansas match went 5. So obviously it's going to be a little bit backed up and whatnot. So there you have it right there. And yeah. Oh, by the way, the Nebraska Pitt match that was televised on Fox, that actually got 771,000 viewers on Fox, which actually became the second most watched regular season match ever. And that's ever, which is just downright impressive. So great job to those that tuned in. I tried to tune in for a little bit, but again, I couldn't tune in fully just because I had my USA men's volleyball scrimmage that I went to. So there you have it right there. And that's pretty much going to do it for the NCAA women's volleyball side of things for the time being. I mean, we also got a little bit of, well, for at least for this weekend at the very least, but might as well just kind of preview week 2. Everyone's going to get to play and I'm excited. That's where the official full week starts off, when I'm excited for it. And it's Labor Day weekend, so I guess that's something else to make note of. So everyone's going to get to play, which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me. A lot of good matches over the weekend. I can't imagine there's not going to be a shortage of bad matches and whatnot. I just think that this is going to be a very fun match. Let's actually look at there's no top 10. It doesn't give me the option to scroll to weed out the top 10. But Friday, you've got Texas, Creighton. And then, like I mentioned, Stanford's playing at Long Beach State. BYU's playing Central Michigan. I mean, there you have that right there. LSU, SMU could probably be a little bit of a sneaky good matchup. I think that's an underrated matchup, in my opinion. So Nebraska's playing Lipscomb, which, let's be honest, that one is probably going to go Nebraska's way, but you never know. Minnesota's playing Cal Poly. You know how I am when it comes to the Big West. I'm a stickler. I love me some Big West. It's going to be interesting to see what Cal Poly does without, I forget the real Tommy Stockham. It's going to be interesting to see what Cal Poly does without Tommy Stockham, but we'll see. And then Kansas, number 14, Kansas plays number 8, Wisconsin. That's going to be another fun matchup right there. That is pretty much it, unless I am missing something. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the time being. And then Saturday, jumping over to Saturday, I'm kind of dwelling on the NCAA a little too much because we're already 34 minutes in. So looking at Saturday's matches, like I said, everyone plays. Stanford also plays Oregon State. I'll be at that matchup. BYU plays High Point. That can kind of be a good matchup. Washington, Colorado State could also be pretty darn good as well. That's probably one of the better unranked versus unranked matches. Ohio State, Miami can kind of be underrated. SMU, Baylor's kind of a nice little Texas matchup. I think it's like an I-45 matchup, but what do I know? I don't live in Texas. Then Texas A&M, Central Arkansas. Okay, we already know that pretty much how that's going to go. Dayton versus Washington State kind of can be a good matchup. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch, but maybe Washington State can surprise us. Kentucky, Lipscomb, we already know what's going to happen pretty much. Trying to find more ranked matchups. Missouri versus Florida Gulf Coast. That can kind of be a good matchup. I mean, Florida Gulf Coast isn't a bad team by any means. I think they're solid, but I want to see something from them. Then you got Utah, Lafayette, which, let's be honest, Utah isn't. I don't think they're going to be losing that one. That is pretty much it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it right there. And then I guess also keep an eye out for Hawaii's matches. They play Marquette on Friday as well. If you're going to be up, if you're an East Coaster, God, I feel horrible for you. But Sunday is where we have I forget what is it? Like the Broadway showcase in Tennessee, where number 7 Kentucky plays number 1 Nebraska. That will be fun right there. That's going to be a barn burner. I want to see what Kentucky can really do. And I think that also is going to be played on ESPN. So you have that right there. And then you have Texas, Wisconsin. That's another great matchup right there. That's going to be a barn burner. Then you got Washington State, Utah. Nice little former Pac-12 matchup battle right there. TCU versus Pitt, number 25 TCU taking on number 3 Pitt on Sunday. Look, Pitt's got to get a win somehow. And if I don't know, I mean, they got to prove themselves in this matchup. Then Morehead State takes on number 4 Louisville. We already know what's going to pretty much happen. Baylor, LSU. That's a nice little matchup. Tennessee, Purdue. If you're a Tennessee fan, you're hoping to all of your lucky stars. You finally you get to see Tennessee beat Purdue. Kansas, Creighton. That's another good matchup. USC, LMU. I think it's an underrated matchup. LMU has a new regime. It's like, I think his name is like Colby Parkinson. He's now the new head coach at LMU. It's going to be interesting to see what LMU can do, but I'm not entirely sure, but that could still be a sneaky good matchup. Number 13, Arizona State. Number 2, Penn State. That's going to be a fun matchup. San Diego, Hawaii, I think is a sneaky good matchup. And that is pretty much going to be it right there. And then Monday is Labor Day. I don't know if people know that. Well, I actually didn't know that at first, but then it's like, oh, wait, yeah, that's right. There's only going to be 3 matchups. There's St. John's, Louisville, TCU, number 25 TCU, number 2 Penn State, number 13 Arizona State, number 3 Pitt. And then this one is probably going to be the one I go to. Number 18 UCLA at unranked Long Beach State. So that's going to be UCLA's season opener. They open up 1 week from today against Long Beach State. Kind of good to see the rivalry get rekindled, but man, if you're Long Beach State, you better hope that you catch UCLA on a rough day, because for starters, they'll have to face their former setter, Zayna Meyer, who transferred to UCLA, and UCLA is loaded. So the only way I can see Long Beach State beating UCLA is if UCLA is super rusty, and then Long Beach State has maybe the match of their lives. But until then, I probably will see UCLA winning, but we'll see. I might have to move set point to next Tuesday. If not, I might have to film the show at Long Beach State. So we shall see. But that's going to do it for the NCAA women's volleyball portion of the show. And yeah, everyone gets to play this week. So if your team didn't play in the AVCA First Serve Showcase, do not fret. This week is your week to play. So let's take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some AVP to discuss. We've got some high school girls volleyball to discuss. And then we've got a little bit of some FIVB World Championships to discuss. So keep it locked here. You were listening to Set Point here on IA Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of those other amazing shows. Welcome back to the second part of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Back here with the second part of the show. We're going to try to go at this a little bit faster, just because I did take a little longer than it came to the NCAA women's volleyball. But it's great to have NCAA women's volleyball back. It's just that I'm just going to kind of be honest. I'm just not like fully hyped into it like I thought I would be. Maybe it's because I want to grow NCAA men's volleyball just as big as NCAA women's volleyball. Maybe it's because I missed out on quite a bit when I'm missing the first serve showcase, because I really wanted to go to that, but I couldn't. Maybe it's because again, just a fear of missing out. Maybe it's because I just didn't have enough time to watch all the action, of the first serve showcase matches. But something is just not making me super hyped for NCAA women's volleyball as of late. I mean, maybe I just need to go to a big time matchup, and it really sucks because I really want to go to the Long Beach State Stanford match, but I already have a commitment that day. So anyway, so again, maybe once the season continues to like progress, maybe I'll be able to get more of a vibe of, oh, NCAA women's volleyball is here. So maybe I just need more time to myself to try to watch some of these matches. So I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, let us get back into the volleyball action. So now let's talk a little AVP. All right, so the AVP League Championships are here. So it's not going to be teams versus teams. It's going to be gender versus gender. So obviously the Palm Beach Passion wound up winning the AVP League Cup Championship. So when it comes to the women's AVP League Championship seeding, Taryn Brasher and Kristen Nuss are the number 1 overall seed, while Brandy Wilkerson and Melissa Jimana-Paredes are the 2 seed. Therese Cannon, Megan Kraft are the 3 seed. Julia Donlin and Lexi Denenberg are the 4 seed. Molly Shaw and Kelly Cheng are the 5th seed. And the 6th seed is Devin Newberry and Gina Arango. And then for the men's seeding, the top seed is Andy Benish and Miles Partain. Number 2 seed is Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser. 3rd seed is Taylor Sander and Taylor Crabb. 4th seed is Hagen Smith and Logan Weber. 5th seed is Chase Budinger and Miles Evans. And then the 6th seed is Kame Schulk and James Shaw. So there you have it right there. So the first match, okay, well, for starters, I actually do need to say on where this whole thing is going to be taking place. It's going to be taking place in Chicago. So yeah, kind of an interesting place to have the AVP League Championship. Last year they had it near Cal State Dominguez. They had it in like Carson in the former StubHub Center, the Dignity Health Sports Park, I think it's called. But yeah, the first matchup is going to be on Saturday. The first quarterfinal will be the women's side of things, which will be Devin Newberry and Gina Arango taking on Megan Kraft and Therese Cannon. And that will be televised on YouTube. So part of this is going to be televised on YouTube. Part of this is going to be televised on the CW. And then part of this is also going to be on CBS Sports or CBS. So yeah, all those quarterfinal matchups are going the quarterfinal matchups are going to be on YouTube. And then the semifinals will be on Saturday's semifinals will be on the CW, and then the Sunday's semifinal matches will be on YouTube, and then Monday not Monday. The final will be on CBS. So anyway, so Kraft and Cannon take on Newberry and Arango, and then after that you've got the other women's quarterfinal. You got the Brooklyn Blaze taking on the Miami Mayhem. So that would be Julia Donlin and Lexi Denenberg taking on Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw. And then you got the men's quarterfinal one. An hour after that, you've got the New York Nitro taking on the Miami Mayhem, which is Kame Schulk and James Shaw taking on Taylor Sander and Taylor Crabb. Then you got Hagen Smith and Logan Weber taking on Chase Budinger and Miles Evans following that. So the winner of the 3 versus 6 match, meaning the winner of the LA Launch versus the San Diego Smash matchup, or Devin Newberry and Gina Arango versus Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft, will face Melissa Jimana-Paredes and Brandy Wilkerson in the women's semifinal. So yeah, one of the semifinals will be on Saturday, and then the other semifinal will be on Sunday, and then following that will be the final. So the winner of the first quarterfinal will face the Palm Beach Passion on the women's side, and same can go for the men's side. The winner of the first men's quarterfinal will face the Palm Beach Passion, which would be Phil Dahlhauser and Trevor Crabb. So a lot to look forward to right there. And then the winner of the 4 versus 5 matchups will face the top seed in terms of the men's side and on the women's side. And then at 1 p.m. Central Time, which is 11 p.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Pacific Time, that will be the women's championship. And then noon Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Central is the men's championship on CBS. So there you have it right there. I feel I'm gonna fail. You know what? Let's make predictions. So you know what? First quarterfinal prediction: Kraft and Cannon taking on Newberry and Arango. Look, I like the whole San Diego Smash thing, but let's be honest, Therese Cannon and Megan Kraft are a legit pair. I got the LA Launch beating the San Diego Smash on the women's side. And then Brooklyn Blaze and Miami Mayhem. This is an interesting Miami Mayhem team. That no one thought that they were going to make it to the playoffs, but here they are. So Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw taking on Julia Donlin and Lexi Denenberg. You know what? I'm going to give the edge to Donlin and Denneberg, but in a 3-set battle. I think those two will barely inch out against Cheng and Shaw. So nothing against Cheng and Shaw. I know Kelly Cheng is an Olympian, but you got to remember her original partner, Sarah Hughes, kind of had a foot injury, and she's almost on her way back, but now she has a new partner and whatnot. So I think for the Brooklyn Blazes, Julia Donlin and Lexi Denneberg, they pretty much end the Miami Mayhems, Kelly Cheng and Molly Shaw. And then for the New York Nitro, you've got Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander taking on the likes of Kame Schulk and James Shaw. Interesting how both Shaws are on the Miami Mayhem. But a long story short, I know Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander both lost last year, but I'm just going to say I don't think Lightning's going to strike twice. I think that Team Taylor is going to take it against Kame Schulk and James Shaw. So give me those two over. Give me Team Taylor over Team Schulk and Shaw. And then the 4-5 matchup is very interesting. Hagen Smith and Logan Weber taking on Chase Budinger and Miles Evans. Budinger and Miles Evans are part of the AVP League champions from last year, back when teams were a thing. And you know what? Just for that reason, I'm going to take Budinger and Evans over Hagen Smith and Logan Weber. So give me Budinger and Evans over Smith and Weber. So I have the 5 seed advancing over the 4 seed. And then for the semifinals on the men's side, I have Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser taking on Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander. Nice little crab boiler here. You know what? I think it's too risky. I got to go with Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser. Look, Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander, they have such great team chemistry, but Trevor Crabb has the one thing that Taylor Crabb doesn't, the edge over, or a winning record over his brother. So I think this one could be a 3-setter, but honestly, I think Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser edge out Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander. And then for the 1 versus 5 matchup, I would have Budinger and Evans taking on Benish and Partain. Oh boy, this one's going to be a fun one. And honestly, this one can go either way. I think Benish, and this is the battle of the 2 Olympian pairs, mind you. And you got to remember that Budinger and Evans beat Benish and Partain in the AVP League Championship last year. So this has grudge match written all over it. And you know what? Call me crazy. I'm going to pick Budinger and Evans over Benish and Partain. I'm probably going to sound like a fool for saying that, but I'm going to take Budinger and Evans over Benish and Partain just because I think for that reason of they are the reigning AVP League champions, and for the fact that it's Olympians versus Olympians, and also for the fact that Budinger and Evans want to get their lick back against Benish and Partain after losing to them in the Huntington Beach Open. That's a big factor as well. And I think also Budinger and Evans beat Benish and Partain in the Manhattan Beach Open, if I'm not mistaken. But for this whole thing, in terms of the men's AVP League Championship, I got Trevor Crabb and Phil Dahlhauser winning the whole thing. So I'll take Phil Dahlhauser and Trevor Crabb to win the men's side. And then on the women's side, in the semifinals, I have Taryn Brasher taking on Julia Donlin and Lexi Denneberg. Long story short, man, I really like Julia and Lexi in this one, but Taryn Brasher and Kristen Nuss are just a dynamic duo. There's a reason why they're Olympians, and until I can see anyone truly beating them, I just think Brasher and Nuss will have the edge over Julia Donlin and Lexi Denneberg. So give me TKN over Buddy Julia and Buddy Lexi. And then for the other semifinal, I have Brandy Wilkerson and Melissa Jimana-Paredes taking on Therese Kennett and Megan Kraft. All right, this one's going to be another interesting matchup. So honestly, these two teams seem to love to run into one another. And this one kind of has future Olympic matchup written all over it. I mean, Therese Kennett and Megan Kraft can probably be vying for a spot in the 2028 Olympics. Meanwhile, for Melissa Jimana-Paredes and Brandy Wilkerson, they haven't really had too much luck winning tournaments, but you got to remember, this is the same Canadian duo that wound up winning silver in last year's Olympics. Man, I really don't know what to expect with this one. I mean, both of these pairs are just darn good. Kraft and Cannon beat Wilkerson and Humana Paredes in the Huntington Beach Open. I want to say they also might have beaten them. Oh, no. They didn't play in the Manhattan Beach Open. But, man, I'm going to pick, man, I hate to do this because I'm a USC guy, but I got to go with Wilkerson and Humana Paredes. I think those two just have that it factor when it comes to their team cohesion and their team bonding and whatnot. So give me Wilkerson and Humana Paredes in a close one against Cannon and Kraft. And then that would mean my AVP League Women's Championship happens to be Teran Brasher and Kristen Nuss taking on Brandy Wilkerson and Melissa Humana Paredes. Rematch of the Olympics from last year where Nuss and Brasher lost to Humana Paredes and Wilkerson. So, man, if there's ever a get-back game for Brasher and Nuss, this is kind of the one because I mean, look at what Brasher and Nuss have done. They wound up winning the Huntington Beach Open. They wound up winning the Manhattan Beach Open for the second straight year. They're the number 1 overall seed in this AVP League Championship. Their only big test is this matchup right here. This is such a big matchup just because they know they have that pain from losing to Wilkerson and Humana Paredes in the Olympics last year. So I think this is kind of the year Brasher and Nuss get their lick back against Wilkerson and Humana Paredes. I think it'll be close. I think Brasher and Nuss are really going to need to play smart together, but I think that they'll be able to inch out the win just because I think their team cohesion and them losing last year in the Olympics brought them closer than ever, and they've just done a lot of amazing things. I can't imagine seeing Brasher and Nuss losing at this point. I mean, maybe I'm missing something with Wilkerson and Humana Paredes, but I got Brasher and Nuss winning the whole thing, which means my women's AVP League Championship is all chalk. Every team that's favored to win or the higher seed is going to win. So I'm probably going to be wrong, but you never know. All right, that's that for the AVP League Championship preview. So now let's jump on into some women's FIVB World Championship action. So this past Friday, we had the FIVB World Championship kicking off. So Tuesday, we had France beating Puerto Rico in 4 sets, Argentina taking down Czechia in 4 sets, Netherlands beating Sweden in 5, Belgium beating Cuba in 3, Brazil beating Greece in 3, USA taking down Slovenia in 4, Thailand beating Egypt in 4, and then Italy sweeping Slovakia. On Saturday, we had the Dominican Republic sweeping Colombia, Canada taking down Bulgaria in 4, Germany taking down Kenya in straight sets, Japan taking down Cameroon in straight sets, China taking down Mexico in 4, Turkey taking down Spain in 3, Poland taking down Vietnam in 4, Serbia taking down Ukraine in 3. And then yesterday we had Greece taking down Greece taking down Puerto Rico in 4, Czechia taking down Slovenia in 5, Netherlands taking down Egypt in 3, Italy sweeping Cuba, Brazil reverse sweeping France. I was a little afraid of that matchup, but then Brazil reminded us, wait, they're still pretty darn good at this volleyball thing. And then USA took down Argentina in 4, and then Thailand took down Sweden in straight sets, and then Belgium brought out the brooms against Slovakia. So today we had Dominican Republic sweeping Mexico, Canada outlasting Spain in 5, Germany beating Vietnam in straight sets, Japan beating Ukraine in 5, China beating Colombia in 4, Turkey beating Bulgaria in straights, Poland taking down Kenya in 4, and then Serbia taking down Cameroon in 3. And then tomorrow, the U.S., who has already clinched a spot in the FIVB World Championship knockout round, they take on Czechia, which they should probably win that one. I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a get-back game because Czechia was the one that handed them that reverse sweep loss in the second, or what? No, it was the third match of the VNL. So hopefully for the sake of the U.S., they kind of come in with a better understanding of what Czechia can bring to the table. And hopefully for the U.S.'s sake, they don't poo-poo the bed. All right, but that is that right there. And the knockout round the round of 16, some of the starts on August 29th. So that is that's going to be on Friday. And then the men's FIVB World Championship starts this weekend as well. So you have that to look forward to as well. But we'll save that for next week and whatnot. So I'm already past an hour. So there you have right there. So now let's talk a little about some high school girls volleyball. So some notable scores from last week. We had Torrey Pines taking down Santa Margarita in 4 last Tuesday. Kind of not surprising, even though Torrey Pines was on the road. But then 3 days after that, Mira Costa, yes, the Mira Costa, with the likes of Audrey Flanagan, Simone Rawlinson, they were able to take down Torrey Pines in 5 last weekend, which was pretty darn good if you ask me. So great job to Mira Costa. You gotta remember that Mira Costa, it kind of has that edge, a little bit more of an edge against Torrey Pines, just because Mira Costa played a lot of stiff competition in the Ann Kang tournament. So you have that right there. So in terms of like notable players that have committed, you had Cynthia Ackerman on Friday committing to Clemson. So a little bit more of context on Cynthia Ackerman. She's one of the top middles in her class. She's 6'3". Her volleyball club is Legacy Volleyball Club. She's from Michigan, and she goes to Brighton. So you have that right there. Congratulations to her. And then you also had, from my neck of the woods, McKenna Barnes, who, oh, by the way, Cynthia Ackerman is ranked number 39 via Prep Dig's top 150 in terms of its 2027 recruits. And then for McKenna Barnes, where are you, McKenna Barnes? McKenna Barnes is actually number 37. She's from, I would say, from my neck of the woods. She actually goes to Marymount High School. Her club volleyball team is Mizuno Long Beach, which I think should be SC Rockstar something. Either way, McKenna Barnes, she actually just recently committed. I think it was yesterday. She committed to Northwestern. So Northwestern's kind of got that little California pipeline. They already have Drew Wright on that team, and she's from Mira Costa. So I think Northwestern, if they can get that California pipeline going, they could possibly maybe build themselves a solid team. I mean, Tim Nolan's a fantastic coach, but I digress. So there you have right there. Those are some new commits that have committed that are some of the top players in the class of 2027. And then some other notable class of 2000 players that haven't committed are Ireland Real. This is going to sound redundant. We are all waiting for Ireland Real to commit. I think every volleyball fan is waiting to see where Ireland Real is going to commit. She is the top 5 players in terms of her class, not just in terms of Prep Dig, but probably prepvolleyball.com as well. So, or prep volleyball in general, but I digress. And then you've also got Kalia Lee, who's at Modern Day. You got Ava Burgess. I feel Ava Burgess might have committed already, and I just didn't update that. So, I mean, Prep Dig also kind of, no offense to my good friend Michelle Bamford, but she kind of needs to also update some of these players as well. As Laren Rosenthal, she's committed to LMU, so we got to get her status updated. I don't run the website. Michelle Bamford does, so don't look at me. I just write some of the articles for Prep Dig, you know. Then you got Stella Delgadillo. You got Hannah McGinnis of Sierra Canyon. You got Olivia Greenwood of Cathedral Catholic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Cathedral Catholic. Right side hitter. Nice pin hitter right there. And then you've also got Brooke Friesen as well. Brooke Friesen is now on my players that have not committed list. She goes to Sprague High School. Her volleyball club is North Pacific Juniors Volleyball Academy. She's from Oregon, so nice little Oregon player right there as well. So there you have it right there. And then I guess another notable player that unfortunately couldn't fit in my character box was Layla Steinfeld, who is from Francis Parker, which is in San Diego. Her volleyball club is Coast Volleyball Club, and she is a pin hitter as well. So there you have it right there. That is pretty much that for some high school girls volleyball news, and I guess some high school girls volleyball matches to watch for in California. Thursday, you've got Sierra Canyon playing Santa Margarita. That's going to be a fun one. I really want to see what Santa Margarita can do against some more stiff competition. And I want to see what Sierra Canyon can do as well, because they had to go 5 with Scripps Ranch, and I was a little surprised at that. But you got to remember that Kendall Omarui is not eligible yet. She will not be eligible until September 13th, which is the day that Sierra Canyon will play Cathedral Catholic. So you have that right there. And then I guess a local matchup in my neck of the woods tomorrow would probably be San Juan Hills at Newport Harbor. The reason I make note of that is because, for starters, Ella Olson, who's on the top 150 of Prep Dig's 2027 rankings, she is going to be playing in that match. And then Megan Hodges, the number 1 recruit from the class of 2028 for the time being, she's also going to be playing in that match, though I don't know what her status is. I know a couple weekends ago she had to miss the Tesoro tournament due to a shoulder injury, but if you're in the Newport Beach area and you want to see some good high school girls volleyball, go to Newport Harbor, San Juan Hills. That's going to be a fun matchup right there, and I'm going to be there tomorrow, so definitely come say hi if you want to see me. So there you have it right there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. Before we sign on out of here, let's actually get a quick update on Texas A&M Minnesota, just because they actually started at 8:42 Central Time, and Minnesota is up 22-19 on Texas A&M in set number 1. This is actually being played on the Big Ten Network, so they went from Fox to FS1 to ESPN to Big Ten in terms of this whole 4-day first serve showcase. So there you have it right there. As Minnesota has Julia Hansen with 4 kills right off the bat, while Calissa Minity and Alex Acevedo both have 3 kills each. That's redundant. Then Logan Lednicki for Texas A&M. She has 6 kills for the Aggies. And then Emily Helmuth and Ifena Kas-Akpala both have 3 kills for Texas A&M as well. And just like that, Minnesota's only up 22-21 on Texas A&M. So there you have it right there. That's pretty much your quick little update. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. I hope you all enjoyed. I know it went a little past an hour, but with NCAA women's volleyball back and a lot of this AVP League championships happening this weekend, I can't afford to miss it. But for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself an amazing week. NCAA women's volleyball is fully back, and I will see you all on Saturday, if you're going to be there, at Long Beach State for Oregon State versus Stanford. But have yourself an amazing week. Enjoy all the volleyball action. And if you're going to be at Newport Harbor High tomorrow, I'll see you there. Have a great week, everybody. Peace.
Yeah.